Carl. Thanks for catching us live. I saw your comment already. Welcome to Blabbin' About Slabbin', our Thursday night live episode. As you can see, Chris is still getting prepped. He's had a day of card stuff today.
Oh,
A lot to do.
I'm an adult, Jeff, but I really feel like I need a teacher, like someone to work with me on time management.
Time management, yeah, it's a vital skill. You gotta, I don't know, maybe take some college extension courses.
Yeah, there isn't. I think there's an adult school not far from me. That's not a bad idea. My wife was asking if she forgot what day it was. She asked if we could do something tonight, and I was like, listen, it's 6:00 on Thursdays. That's my time. That's my 1 hour where I get to do what I want, where Jeff and I get to talk about baseball cards. She kind of looks at me and she's like, well, weren't we at the gym for like 2 hours today? I'm like, all right, it's one of 3 hours today that I got to do what I wanted to do. And then she kind of paused and she's like, weren't you also just like playing with the dog for an hour? So I'm like, all right, so it was one of 4 hours today. And I get to do exactly what I want to do. But this is, of course, the most important hour.
Yeah, well, we're glad to be here. Andy, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Glad you found us. If you guys haven't yet subscribed, please hit subscribe down below. Hit the like button. It helps us get out and reach more people because we love when other people can join us on here as we chat baseball cards. Good evening, Scott. Hey, I collect Ichiro. What's up?
Oh, hey.
So, some of you may have participated in Chris's SSP Thursday Instagram push. If you haven't, find us on Instagram.
Yeah.
Chris is a baseball card addict, and I'm my favorite cardboard. Chris and I are both avid super short print collectors, and we've started a movement to post super short prints on Thursday, and we saw some great ones, including some by people in this chat.
Yes, I collect Ichiro, I think, just joined us. I just posted his story right before I came on. I mean, just some absolutely amazing Ichiro stuff that you're not going to see anywhere else. Like, these cards are so rare. You know, it takes super collectors and, like, deep player collectors to spend hours hunting this stuff down. It's the only way we're ever going to see it.
Yeah, that's one of the best things about Instagram, seeing cards that you've only heard of before or seen maybe in Cardboard Connection or heard about. It's been great to see, and especially now seeing more of these SSPs come out is really cool. We had a question from Shelly. I did see the design. If anybody hasn't seen it, I'm not sure if this will work, but that's kind of what it looks like.
Yeah, it's interesting.
A very
white, kind of grades up into black.
Yeah, it's got the team names in sort of a neon diner sign style writing. So yeah, I don't know. It seems like it's getting mixed opinions. I've only seen 5 or 6 of the cards, of the actual cards, and some of them look better than others. The pictures seem great. So
yes, the images I've seen look really good. I like the Trout is kind of reminiscent of his rookie card. That looks cool. Even the Kodai Senga card looks really nice.
Yeah.
I don't know. My initial thought was that I didn't like it. And then as I saw more like renditions of it, more versions come up, I was like, oh, it's starting to grow on me. So I really want to see what the parallels are going to look like. Like, what's this? Is Topps black essentially just going to be the bottom is also black, or are they going to put more black into it?
Maybe it's sort of a black gradient over the image or behind the image, like we saw in maybe 2018. They've gotten away from doing too much inside the photo. A lot of stuff's just relegated to the borders now, and we'll see what the borders like that. Alan says, I'm looking forward to it in Chrome. It'll be phenomenal. Yeah, it'd be a fun design to see in Chrome, too.
Yes, that's a good point. The Chrome parallels should really pop with like what they're doing along the top with the kind of a neon sort of look. I don't know. Right now, I kind of like it. I'm leaning towards I'm going to like it. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. Shelly says, not a huge fan, but curious as we are what the parallels SSP will look like. Yes. I collect Ichiro. Thank you, Chris. Nice to finally catch you guys live. Yes, appreciate you joining us live. So if you want to chime in with some SSP thoughts, that's great. Andy says, I just picked up the Nolan Gorman Topps Chrome Sapphire Red rookie debut out of 5. I think Gorman is going to have a breakout this year. Well, he's got the pedigree. He's kind of his way through that system, and he's going to have plenty of opportunities. So
Yeah, when you got guys coming up on franchises like St. Louis, they're in a good spot. Like St. Louis is a great place for players to succeed. Good fan base, kind of a well-run team. I know, obviously, it didn't really work out for Tyler O'Neill. I think is his name, right?
Yeah, and we're still waiting on Dylan Carlson to pan out.
We still are. We are indeed, Jeff.
Yeah, Dylan Carlson was one of those guys in our last days of prospecting that we kind of got aboard.
Yeah, probably. Honestly, a big reason why we don't do that anymore.
Yeah, frankly.
He was like a 21-year-old center fielder for the Cardinals, a switch hitter. It seemed like the sky was the limit.
Yeah.
And now it seems like, I don't know, maybe my front lawn is the height limit now instead of the sky.
Yes. Well, the other thing we wanted to talk about besides 2024 is the Hall of Fame. And the Baseball Hall of Fame announcement is creeping closer. I believe it's the 23rd. Is that right?
I think that sounds about right. Yeah.
About 2 weeks from now. Last I looked, in terms of public votes, there was about 40% out there. So we get a pretty good idea of who's still in the mix for Hall of Fame votes. So we wanted to talk about that. And we also wanted to talk about if it even really matters. Because we've talked about, in our current collection, trying to collect guys that are targeted for the Hall of Fame, that are on a Hall of Fame track. What about the guys that made the Hall of Fame? How does that affect their card prices? So just kind of a discussion about that.
Yeah, we hear that phrase a lot, like Hall of Fame track, Hall of Fame pass. And it's kind of when you're looking at really expensive rookies, like a Freeman or a Machado, a lot of people are going to be like, well, these guys are on Hall of Fame tracks, so that's someone I'm going to go after. And I don't know. Sometimes I think it's going to take more than that. And some of these like card prices that we see when a player gets elected, there is always a bump. And I would use Fred McGriff as a fantastic example. Jeff and I had some McGriff cards. As a Braves fan, I collected some nice McGriffs. His main rookie is the Donruss from '86, which is basically, back then, it's like his first Bowman Chrome, because he didn't even play a game. He hadn't played a game before that card came out. He just happened to be at spring training the day that they were, shooting photos. So it worked out. But that card was routinely selling for like $350 to $400 before the Veterans Committee put him in. And like from the day he got in, for about a month, that thing spiked to almost like $800. I think sales were sitting at. But I just looked today, and it's right back down to $350 and $400. So if you love these guys, if there's anyone on this ballot you really like, maybe don't buy their cards for a little bit.
Yeah. Or buy them and then sell them.
Yes, that's a great strategy. If you have really nice Adrian Beltre cards, and we'll go over some of these guys that may or may not get in, and we kind of broke down what their best cards are if you do want to target them. But if you might do better selling Adrian Beltre at the end of January and then just rebuying him, say a year from now. And I bet you can probably pocket a decent amount of cash in the interim.
Yes, exactly right. What's up, Levi? Thanks for joining. Why don't we start there? I mean, there's one seemingly shoe-in, and you've already mentioned it, Adrian Beltre.
Yes. Adrian Beltre, he should coast in.
Yeah. As of now, he's running at a 98.7%.
Yep.
A reminder, you got to get over 75% to be elected. So he's well on his way. And the remaining ballots, he needs just about 60% of them to vote yes, and most of them will. So,
yep. Oh yeah,
chew-in. So, I don't know. What do you think about his cards?
All right. I just want to also say that even if you're not a WAR guy, if you throw WAR out, Beltre is sitting at 3,166 hits and 477 home runs with 1,700 RBIs. So whether you're a classical stat guy or a new age stat guy, Beltre goes in. Beltre is one of the greatest third basemen of all time. Yeah. And his offensive numbers would have been a hell of a lot better if he didn't spend 4 years in Safeco.
Yeah,
which absolutely just kills right-handed hitters. But all right, so quick rundown. Beltre's rookies are in 1997. The ones you really want are Bowman Chrome and Bowman's Best. He has refractors in both sets that are fairly rare. And then in the Bowman's Best, he does have atomic refractors. So that's probably the Bowman Chrome refractor and the Bowman's Best atomic are going to be probably his two most in-demand rookie cards when this news hits. And they're really nice. Those cards look great.
Yeah, no, I wasn't collecting in the late 90s. I know you were in and out around that time. The sets, there were a lot of really cool products, but there wasn't nearly the number of cards that there are now in terms of different sets, right?
Right. Shelly the Turtle makes a good point down there. In his Bowman Chrome, there's a refractor, and then there's also an international refractor. It's essentially called. So the background of the card, instead of being what was behind him, they sort of put, I think the Dominican flag is in the background behind him. And then there's a refractor of that. So that one's pretty rare. You might want to keep an eye out for that, depending on what you're willing to spend. I mean, PSA 10s of these are going to be expensive because this was like late 90s. The quality control was not very high or effective, we'll say.
So do you think a guy who is a shoe-in like Beltre, so he's not a guy that's kind of on the border. Do you think his prices are already baked in for the Hall of Fame? Are people
I would
assuming
say
that
right now,
he made the
nothing is
Hall of
baked.
Fame?
Yeah, I would say right now, no. I'm guessing all sales right now are generally down. I think you and I are seeing that. Not many people have post-holiday money, but are they baked in? That's a good question. I would say I looked up some of the best refractor sales, and they are climbing. And I'm sure in the 2 weeks after, there will be a bump for sure. Because once you can actually stamp that Hall of Fame status on him, I also wanted to note he does have one rookie year auto. And it's in, I wrote this down. In 1997, Upper Deck had a prospect set called SP Prospects or Prospects SP. I'm not sure the order. But anyway, he has on card autos in that. And it's a really cool looking card. If you're listening and you want to go look along, there's a few of them sitting on eBay. They're not cheap. And they also have like a massive centering problem, a lot of them. It's kind of like the card has a border, and then there's like a kind of like a V cut with the images, and like half of them are about 70-30 side to side.
Oh
But
man.
still, a lot of guys in this era don't have on-card autos their rookie year. And while this is basically, it was a prospect card, as his Bowman cards was too, this is essentially his first Bowman Chrome auto back in the day. So it's pretty cool. And Upper Deck was a legit company. This isn't like one of those minor league cards or like Star or some other junky product that came out. This came out of a high-end Upper Deck's prospect set.
And this is back when multiple companies had the license to produce major league products.
Yes. So I think he is wearing like a legitimate jersey. It's a cool card, but I would guess that one might have some legs. If it gets equated to the first Bowman Chrome, that card could definitely have some long-term value to it.
Yeah, I wonder. We've talked about this before too, you and I. Do they get the bump? So they get a bump maybe when the results come out, but then they don't actually go in. They're not inducted until the summer. And then, so is there another bump when that comes? It's always kind of debatable. They'll be in the news more, the retired players. So then you think, well, maybe that's a good time to sell if you've got them. There might be more buyers. But what do you think?
I sold a bunch of McGriffs right after the announcement. So I saw that bump. That bump was 100% real and very strong. But I don't know about July. I think in July people are probably mostly looking at active players, like what's going on then. I don't know. Most of the collectors are younger. How many are really tuning in to watch, a bunch of old players give speeches? I don't know.
I don't know. That makes me wonder too, because we've talked about it and we've heard it talked about that there's Hall of Fame collectors. They only collect Hall of Famers, or they got to get
Yep.
one card of every Hall of Famer. I personally don't know any that do that. So I'm not sure how big that community is. But for those individuals, I would like to know, do they buy only when the announcement is actually made? So for somebody like Beltre, do they have his best card and are including it? Maybe they just have it on one side of the box, but then they shuffle it over once he's in the Hall of Fame. Or do they actually wait until the announcement comes and then go and purchase it?
That would be my guess. They have to be hedging their bets on some of these players. And I have spoken to a few. I spoke to a few Hall of Fame collectors a couple of years ago that very begrudgingly went out and bought Harold Baines rookies.
Well,
they didn't want to do it, but they felt like they had to do it. And then Lee Smith was kind of the same thing. But those two cards never really budged. I don't think people cared. For the hobby at large did not care that those two guys were in the Hall of Fame.
Right. And those were, I mean, especially with Baines, it kind of came out of nowhere. So people couldn't have been buying them in anticipation of them going in. I'm talking now mainly about the guys that are shoe-ins. So a guy like maybe like Billy Wagner or Joe Mauer, where we don't really know what kind of bump they might get. Hey, what's up, Shamrock? Thanks for joining us. Shelly, 19, I love collecting Hall of Fame guys. Guess I'm just weird. Well, no, that's
No.
probably a smart place to put your money. But
Yeah,
if you're a Hall of Fame collector, does that mean you collect one card of every player who gets in the Hall of Fame, or you only collect guys who are in the Hall of Fame? So I guess that's what I'm wondering. So the Harold Baines collectors, like Chris said, there's some that just had to begrudgingly buy him when he got into the Hall of Fame, versus there are hardcore Beltre collectors that will collect him whether or not he's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean, you talk to people about prospect today, and I think they're all like, a lot of them think these prospects, like, excuse me, like Ellie De La Cruz, like, I'm buying him because he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. He's going to be great. Yet, act like, go buy Barry Larkin. Unfortunately, Barry Larkin doesn't have first Bowman Chrome autos, but you kind of get the idea. Like, it's hard to predict, and there's really, like, for some of these guys, Scott Rowland's another great example.
Yeah.
Of a guy perfectly affordable in the Hall of Fame, had a good career. I'm not going to say great. I would not have voted for him, but that's okay. I didn't need to vote for him. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's more to it, I think, to get these cards to really fly than just being in the Hall of Fame. I can't believe I'm saying just being in the Hall of Fame, but
I agree. There's got to be some sort of collectability factor. And even when we talk about guys that are on the Hall of Fame path that we like, Manny Machado, Mookie Betts, those kind of guys.
Freddie Freeman.
Freddie Freeman for sure. There has to be some sort of likability or perceived durability of their collecting reputation as time goes on, because eventually they'll become just another Hall of Famer. But if you've got people that collect them and remember them, maybe that gives them some staying.
Yeah, we were talking. So read the Hall of Fame bump. I would say, and you can tell me if you agree or disagree, of all the people kind of on the bubble that are maybe they're going to get in, maybe they're not, like it's going to be close. I feel like Joe Mauer is the guy that could see the biggest bump.
Yeah,
that's the player I would expect to get the biggest bump, and I could be completely wrong.
No, but I agree. He's already got a rabid fan base of collectors, and I think there's a lot of people kind of on the fence. Well, is he going to be a Hall of Famer? Is he not? And then if he gets that stamp of approval, then I think he could get that bump. More people.
Yeah. I mean, he is a Midwestern guy, just like you.
Yeah.
And he had a phenomenal career. Like, he had the best season any catcher's ever had. He won 3 batting titles, and I think catchers have only won 5 or 6 total, and he's got 3 of them. Like, he was incredible. But I think, like a lot of guys, like, his career wasn't super long, and he petered out.
Yeah.
So he's sort of been forgotten.
His peak was great, but
his peak was, yeah. I mean, he's the only catcher ever, as far as I know, to win the / Triple Crown, which is batting average, on base percentage, and slugging. Like, for the league, like, catchers don't do that.
Crazy, yeah.
So I would say, if he gets in, people are going to be really breaking down his numbers and sort of analyzing just how great his career was and how good a hitter he was, and he might be a guy that would get a bump. Because his career numbers, when you glance at them, they do not jump off the page.
For sure.
143 home runs, 1,000 runs is great. 923 RBIs, But when you look at the slash line, 388 career OBP, 827 career OPS, and a 124 OPS plus, and he hit 306 for his career as a catcher. Like, that's great.
Yeah, the rate stats are incredible. So he is one of those guys that, if you look from the older perspective about compiling, he's not going to get there.
Mm-hmm.
But if you believe in the rate stats, and
he's kind of like, he's like the anti-Ted Simmons, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I think Ted Simmons got in. He had like a 22-year career and just kept piling up hits and runs and RBIs. Joe Mauer's career was shorter, but my God, he burned very bright. So real quick,
he's currently at 84%.
Oh,
so he's pretty safe in there. He's got to get 69% on the remaining ballots in order to get that 75% threshold, which, I don't know. You never know with the ballots you haven't seen, but it's definitely doable.
Very doable. Absolutely. By the way, are you doing this math in your head as we go?
No.
Okay. I didn't think so.
I've got my 6-year-old here doing it for me.
Perfect. Yeah. All right. So quick rundown of what Mauer's got. If Mauer's a guy you want to grab a card of in the next about 13 days before they make this announcement, his rookies are in 2002, and his best cards are definitely his Bowman Chrome autos from that year. He's got some number. There's a refractor, an X-fractor. There might be another one. He also has Bowman's best autos, which is a really cool shot, like a follow through of his swing. Mm-hmm. These aren't around. These are not super easy to find. There's some on eBay, but good condition ones probably don't exist outside of Minnesota. But if you want a Mauer card and you want a high-end Mauer card, those are the two to get.
Now, with Mauer, do you think he's a guy that his non-rookies would see a bump of any of his SPs or early parallels?
Sure. I don't see why not. I mean, yeah, he's got some great SSBs. We've seen it from like 2017, 2016. I think he's got a couple. He might be an opening day. We know he's got a Chrome one for sure. Yeah. He also has a Topps rookie in 2002. And it's one of the last years that Topps did draft pick cards before they made that deal with the Union, which I don't know if it was 04 or 06 where they stopped doing prospect cards in Topps. But this card, if you look at the 2002 Topps, it reminds me of the Chipper Jones 1991 Topps. Mauer is crazy young, and I think someone just gave him an oversized Twins jersey to throw on for a photo. But it's a cool card. And that has in Chrome there are there's gold refractors back in 2002, but they're not numbered. So if you're a Topps Chrome guy, there's no Topps Blacks in 2002, but there are Topps Chrome gold refractors, and those are really nice.
I'm going to be interested to see how much what happens with Mauer affects what's going to happen with Buster Posey.
That's an excellent analogy. Yeah, that should be very interesting. Yeah, because Posey's career is even shorter.
Yeah,
but man, oh man,
but he's got 3 championships.
3 championships, a Rookie of the Year, and an MVP.
MVP, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would vote for both of them, quite frankly. But I understand the people that wouldn't vote for Posey.
Yeah, I can see I can see arguments both ways, but for at least the time that you and I were watching baseball, that they really were dominant at their position for a good chunk of time. So that weight.
Yeah, but I mean, I think if I would also say, I feel like if you do want one of those Mauer cards, take a look if you're in here with us. I don't know if now's the best time. Maybe if you can wait a year, you probably get a better deal. But there's also a chance that some of these nicest ones get tucked away in, we're talking about, Hall of Fame collections or Minnesota PCs, and all sorts of people out there that just buy cards and bury them in a vault.
Yeah, that brings to mind what we've talked about before with certain postseason runs and World Series runs. We saw that when the Phillies had that run, some Harper cards came out of the woodwork.
Yes. Jeff, I'm going to be right back for a second. Just continue your thought.
So we've seen that with the postseason bumps, cards coming out, and people that have held them for a long time see it as an opportunity to sell, make a profit. Could be the same thing here. So versus looking, I wonder if you had looked last summer what Mauers would have been out there versus the Mauers that are now, and maybe some get picked up because the sellers have been waiting for a chance to offload them. I don't know. Could be interesting. Hello from the Rising Sun. Shelly the Turtle, does Mauer have Rookie Heritage black refractors? Not entirely sure when they started. That's a good
question. I don't think so.
I don't think. Were they even around then? That is something we'd have to look at.
That's a great question. I don't know if they were making them back then.
Yeah, that'd be a great card. Hey,
that would be a great one to pick up. I can do a quick look here.
Maybe we're getting a chance to glimpse some of these cards is what I'm saying, that we haven't been able to see before. So
absolutely. No, I think you're dead on. I think once they make this announcement, there will be some extremely rare Mauers and Beltres coming out of the woodwork.
Yeah. But if you don't get them, you might
never see them again. Let's see.
Another guy we wanted to mention who is in the running is Todd Helton.
Yes, that's actually what I was just getting up to go get. Todd Helton has essentially one rookie card. And it's this. It's kind of a weird looking card, but it's his 1993 Topps update. And it's his Team USA card. So it's kind of like the Nomar Garciaparra had one the year before. I think Giambi had one the year before that. But here we go. This is basically Todd Helton's only real rookie card. Or essentially, this would be like his Bowman first. It'd kind of be like in 2010, I guess Bryce Harper had some Team USA cards. Matt Olson's on that Team USA set. I think Lindor is on that Team USA set out of Bowman Chrome. So it's kind of similar to that. Oh, so if you're interested in Helton, and I think Helton's got a legit case. I know he played in Coors Field, but he also had to play on the road. And if balls aren't breaking in Coors Field and they are on the road, imagine jumping from one to the other. Like, that just seems like it would be impossible. But Helton has that career slash line that is so impressive. The 300 batting average, 400 OBP, 500 slugging. That's a very small club.
Yeah, even he definitely gets the side eye for being at Coors, putting those numbers up. But he was a great road player as well. So,
oh yeah.
Last year he got 72% of the vote.
Yeah.
So he's pretty close. Right now he's running at 83%. So trending up. And I'm not sure of the exact stats, but there's something like if for the players that have gotten 70 before, I think.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That they eventually get in. Or close.
Alan Forrest, yeah, the Affleck. Those Affleck cards are so weird. I don't know what to make of those Affleck cards. So Bryce Harper has one in 2010. Freddie Freeman has one in like 2006. And he looks like he's 15 years old, but he has autos in there, and they're made by Topps. But I have never bought one. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like a real card to me. But yeah, Alan Forrest makes a good point. Those cards do exist. Those are some of Harper's earliest, I guess, technically licensed cards.
Yeah.
But all right, quick Todd Helton breakdown, because he seems like he's probably going to get in.
I think he'll get in this year. Yeah. Hey, what's up, Ben H? Glad you made it with us.
So right. some stats. The 1993 Topps traded this USA card. There are currently 1,200 PSA 10s out of 6,200 subbed.
All right.
Now, the set is not rare. They probably printed 100,000 of them. So I'm guessing if he goes in, that number is probably going to double at least. But right now, the average price is about $150 in a PSA 10.
Well, yeah, that at that price, I think there's going to be a lot of them sent in.
Absolutely.
But for $10 and for $15.
However, I don't think that's his best card.
Well,
I believe his best. I think his best card is 3 years later, in 1996 Topps Chrome, which is the first year of Topps Chrome. He's got refractors, and those are rare. And those are expensive. And his card says draft pick on them. So that would be the Todd Helton card that I would want. It's a 1996 Topps Chrome refractor. There's a few on eBay if you want to take a look.
What's one of those going to cost you?
That's a great question, Jeff. The price, the asking prices that I saw were not cheap. Hold on, I will. Let's find out. But he's also a guy that I don't know. How excited is the hobby in general going to be that Todd Helton makes the Hall of Fame? Does it change our perception of his career? I will tell you, it will not make me want to run out and buy one of his cards.
Right. I guess we should ask Levi, a Hall of Fame collector, do you have any Todd Helton cards now? And if and when he gets announced, are you going to go buy one or multi-cards?
Yeah, and which one are you interested in? Is another question. Do you want the 93, the update, and the Team USA with by the way, the metal Easton bat? It's pretty great.
I love the metal. Everybody had that bat.
Everyone had that bat. Let's see. That's not a refractor. Not a refractor. Ooh, that might be. What do we got? Nope. So the Topps Chrome card, the base card, not a refractor, is $180 in a PSA 10. So the refractor is going to be expensive. I don't even see any that have sold here.
What's up, a collector's dream? Mr. Big Lick says Fleer Ultra Update has great rookies that year.
In 1996?
Oh, sorry, Levi. That's right. Shelley's the Hall of Fame collector. And don't forget the Topps traded bazooka parallel. I collect Ichiro says.
Yeah, I collect Ichiro was right. I actually did. I forgot to mention that. I forgot all about that. Let's take a look at that. Because it's funny. As much as there weren't a lot of parallels and stuff, there's always something. Like the Fred McGriff card has a leaf variation. All those 80s Topps cards have Tiffany's. And yeah, there is a bazooka Todd Helton. Hold on. Let's take a look here. Let's see what those are going for. Whew. Yeah, I mean, a raw one of those is going to run you, let's see. And a terrible condition one sold for $100. I see the whole set sold for $300. Ooh, another whole set sold for $400. Ooh, PSA 9 sold for, yeah. So this is going to run you a few $100 for that bazooka one. It's definitely going to be more harder to find, and you'll probably accept a lesser grade too, if you want to go down this road.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of 90s collectors that are all Helton's best cards already. Levi, I mean, hopefully all my cards become Hall of Famers. Yes, we're right there with you. Chris and I are collecting a lot of Hall of Fame path guys.
Yeah, or so we hope, Jeff.
That's
so we hope, you know?
Right. I don't think a guy like Helton is just going to move the needle for a lot of people. Maybe just for those folks that collect Hall of Famers, or I know there's some team collectors that just collect Hall of Fame players of their team. I don't know how many Rockies Hall of Fame collectors there are. Shelley, Todd Helton doesn't really move the needle for me though. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. So for somebody like him, I don't know if you see a bump. Maybe a slight bump for the people that are adding him to their Hall of Fame collections.
Yeah. So 2 thoughts I want to throw out here. The Topps Chrome Refractor that I mentioned, there are 6 PSA 10s. So that card is going to spike, and it's going to spike pretty hard if he gets in. So I would advise anyone here that wants it to absolutely not buy that card in the next month. But someone here just commented about comparing Helton to Larry Walker, and that's a fantastic analogy. Walker was, I mean, pretty incredible. He had one of the best fantasy baseball seasons of all time. I think in 1997 it was. But yeah, I mean, he's a guy whose rookie cards are readily available and not very expensive. Even like the Topps Tiffany and the Bowman Tiffany, you can pick those up for not a lot.
Fillington's skill set was memorable, at least. Are you talking about Helton or Walker? No. Both had memorable skill sets.
Yeah, I mean, I think it works for both.
Especially that cannon that Walker had.
Oh, yeah.
In the, yeah, we're getting to that point. We're reaching the end of the junk era mainstream Hall of Famers, right?
Hopefully.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of people coming up or that are still on the ballot. There's not a lot of them that have rookie cards in the early 90s still.
No, definitely not.
Arenado on track. Arenado is very undervalued. There's a lot of people that think that he's still kind of expensive. I guess it depends what Arenado we're going to get. The one last year, or is he going to be able to return to form a little bit as he gets
I personally feel like Arenado is appropriately valued for his career. I think he is. Yeah, I think his cards are about where they should be. I mean, he's really good. He's compiled some great numbers. The Gold Gloves are impressive. But I mean, he never won an MVP, and I know it's just people voting. And sometimes we look at the votes and we're like, well, that's stupid, whatever. But then when it comes time to look at Hall of Fame voting, MVP results are one of the first things that people are going to look at.
For sure.
I don't know. I mean, Arenado is good. Arenado's a very good player, but I don't think he's not someone that I'm like. I look at his prices and I'm like, oh, that's a bargain. Like his Topps Chrome rookie autos are expensive. His first Bowman Chromes are expensive.
He's one of those guys where when I talk about a price kind of being baked in, I feel like it is. I feel like him having a successful end to his career and getting into the Hall of Fame is already just sort of a given for most of his collectors and fans. Phil was referring to Helton. Walker had the all-around and war-friendly skill set. Yeah, his war was through the roof.
Oh, yeah.
Alan says I'm not going to be draining the bank account for a Todd Helton rookie card. I collect Ichiro. Do you think Andruw will eventually get in? He's been a hot topic.
He is. He is a hot topic. Yeah, the good news about Todd Helton, though, is that you won't have to drain the budget. You could pick up one of these raw for like $10. Maybe you have to spend 15 or 20 when he gets in, but there you go.
Yeah.
Collection can continue.
There's your Hall of Famer.
There's your Hall of Famer. Andruw Jones is real interesting.
And he's close.
He's close.
At 71% this year. He ended last year at 58%. So it's quite a big jump with the revealed ballots so far.
I will say two things about Andruw Jones. One, if he gets in, I'll be super happy for him. He's a great guy. I've seen him at Braves games, and they interview him a lot. He's a really great guy, and his center field play for the Braves was beyond phenomenal. But I will also say that if I had a vote, I don't think I would vote for him.
The drop off was too severe.
The drop off was like meteoric in a way, and almost entirely self-inflicted. And that's what's really frustrating about it. Like 10 years in, he looked like an absolute surefire Hall of Famer. Dodgers gave him that big contract. He showed up for spring training like 25, 30 pounds heavier. And they were like, who is this guy? And there's stories about like he's out of gas in the outfield. Like he can't run anything down. Yeah. His swing fell apart. And he just like, his whole career basically torpedoed into the ground. I mean, he hit under 200, like, I don't know, it's like 2 or 3 years in a row. I have a hard time. Like, his peak was phenomenal. But I don't know. It was so shitty the way he went out. Like, it sours you on the whole thing.
It does. And it's kind of a warning, right? I mean, we talk about these players that come up early, and he came up early and was a standout right away. And we're saying when we talk about Hall of Fame path that starting early is one of the best indicators. Start early because you add those extra years to your career for your Hall of Fame candidacy. So he started out great, started young, great defensive player, put up huge numbers, and then completely dropped off a cliff. So who of the guys that we're seeing now that started young like that are going to have that same path and leave that same distaste in collectors' mouths?
Yeah, there's a great interview. I think it was with John Smoltz where he talked about, they asked him about Andruw Jones and being in the Hall of Fame. And John Smoltz said he didn't think he would be in the Hall of Fame without Andruw Jones. And he said like it affected the way that they pitched, knowing that he was back there. And they would look when he first came up, he played really shallow, as I'm sure if you watch the games you remember. And they were like, but then they realized he's not only going to run back and catch everything, but like I think he said like every other game, he's taken singles away. So like they felt very comfortable. Smoltz was like, I know I can just throw strikes. If they hit anything in the air to center field, it's an out. And like the shallow line drives, like for those of you who won't know, Jeff and I played a lot of softball. We're a little bit older now than when we met, but Jeff was also a fantastic outfielder, and his trademark play was the running in and dive to catch like the base hit just before it hits the ground. It's cost him numerous hand injuries doing this.
Sadly.
But it was Andruw Jones-esque at the time.
Yeah, I think now that you mentioned that about Smoltz and thinking about his impact on the defense, that might sway me a little more towards voting for him. Hearing stuff like that from his Hall of Fame contemporaries and teammates. Yeah, I probably wouldn't vote for him either, but especially hearing something like that makes me think that, maybe. It's so infuriating how quickly it all erupted. And I think it didn't have to do with signing a big contract and being lazy. And those things just are.
It's so frustrating. If he got hurt, that's one thing. That's a total. But he didn't. He literally gave up isn't the right word, but he just lost focus. And that's very frustrating, even for someone who loved him for a decade. It's very frustrating to see. Like I said, like if I'm voting for the Hall of Fame, my standards are going to be really high. It's not the Hall of Very Good. It's the Hall of the Greatest of the Great. And if he gets in again, I'm happy for him, super happy for him. But I personally, I would not vote for him. I wouldn't vote for Helton either, by the way.
Okay. Good to note. I'm on the fence about Helton. I would not vote him in on this ballot, so I wouldn't vote him in.
I would definitely, if I had votes, I looked at the ballot. If I had votes, I would absolutely vote Beltre and Maurer in. And I think that might be it. That might be it for me. I have to really think about Chase Utley. Another guy we're talking about.
He'd be one you'd actually consider, and he's in his first year, but he's not even cracking 50%. He's just,
yeah. I mean, but his peak was incredible for a second baseman. His 7-8 year run is pretty phenomenal. And if you lived anywhere near Philadelphia, you know your girlfriend's shouting out his name while you're having sex with her. 100, like guaranteed.
well, that might get you in the Hall of Fame.
I don't know if that affects the voting, but maybe it should.
How many these MLB reporters can identify with that? But JV says if Jones is Hall of Fame, I think David Wright has a shot. Another guy with an outstanding peak. His drop off was also substantial, but it was more injury related. But nobody's Wright is getting 7% currently on ballots.
Yeah, and it stinks for Wright. Yeah, all my cards suck. Yeah, my wife is from Bucks County. Anyway, yeah, David Wright had a great career. He didn't quite put up the defensive numbers that Andruw Jones did, but yeah, his career was railroaded by injuries. Unfortunately, I would have loved to see what David Wright could have done with 5 more healthy seasons. Even as a Braves fan, the Braves and Mets were like bitter rivals. It was impossible to root against David Wright. Always was.
Going back on the chat from Odalis, Joe Mauer has a 2002 Topps Chrome Black Refractor rookie out of 50, the first year of Topps Chrome Black Refractors. Ooh.
Yeah. I couldn't even find one on eBay. So if those are out there, that's going to cost you a couple grand easy. That's going to be an awesome card. And I'm guessing they're all going to be off-centered based on 2020 or 2002 Topps cards.
Probably.
All right. While you're perusing the chat, I just want to, because I saw some comments that I think are definitely worth mentioning, Jeff.
All right.
I want to look up Baseball Reference has some Hall of Fame stats for Chase Utley that I just want to throw out here real quick. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So he has 64.5 career WAR. Doesn't sound impressive, but the average for second baseman is 69.6. So he's pretty close. His 7-year peak was 49.3, and the average 7-year peak for Hall of Fame second baseman is 44. So he's about 5 ahead. I don't know what JAWS is, or if it's a math thing, I couldn't possibly. I think it doesn't matter. But for the Hall of Fame, the second baseman averaged 57. He's at 56.9. And his typical WAR for 162 games is 5.4. And for the average second baseman in the Hall of Fame, it's 5.1. So he stacks up. He would be essentially right in the middle, and a very average Hall of Fame second baseman if he were to be elected.
That's way higher than I thought his stats were.
His black ink stats are extremely low. He's only led the league 3 times. His gray ink is also extremely low. But
that's tough. But you're right. As a second baseman,
yeah, he's not competing with third baseman, first baseman, or right fielders. But
surprised, given what you just went through, because I didn't look through all the players on the ballot. I didn't go through all their careers, which I obviously would do if I had a vote. I didn't realize he was that impressive, especially that 7-year peak is.
As fantasy baseball players, Jeff, surely we are familiar with Chase Utley's peak and how early he would go in drafts.
Oh yeah, he was dominant. He was dominant, and at such a shallow position too.
Yes, but
a few things. JV says, as a Mets fan, I'm praying Utley doesn't get in. I get that.
That's totally fair.
There was some mention of Matt Holliday, and Matt Holliday is well known for Chris and I for just being a gigantic sample of human beingness and just hitting the ball all over the place. But most people now know him more as being Jackson Holliday's dad.
Right. I think he's most famous for never touching home plate in a playoff winning, he's quote unquote scored a playoff winning run. He's also a guy, one of the worst defensive players in the history of baseball. and a guy that Jeff and I frequently say we would love to see him play slow pitch softball.
Yes. And every time we're at a tournament, we see a ginormous guy just hitting the crap out of the ball. We're like, that's Matt Holliday.
That could be Matt Holliday.
Anybody want to guess how many votes he's gotten on the ballots that have come out so far? So out of the 150 ballots, how many votes he's gotten?
7. 1 vote?
Yeah. 1 vote. Yeah. 1 vote. So he's got a long hill to climb. In fact, he's not even safe to stay on the ballot. Remember, you got to get 5% to be on the ballot. He's at 0.7%. So unless everybody's voting for him that has hidden ballots, guess of 3 and 0. You guys are very close.
Yeah. Average those two out. You're right there. I saw M. Parsons said that she's just glad that Chase Utley and Mac from It's Always Sunny were able to have some moments together, and that was important. And again, stuff like that, like Chase Utley in the, a big part of a television show, it makes a difference. It does. It helps.
It's not translating to votes.
No.
Mr. Phil Ming Tun just said, just take Dan Uggla in round 12 for some cheap pop and pop outs with guys on third base. Yes, for sure.
Dan Uggla is the #1 guy Jeff and I want to see playing slow pitch softball. Of all former Major League Baseball players, I need to see Dan Uggla just shitting on softballs at some point in my life. I need to see it.
And can you imagine how high the pop-ups he would hit in softball would be? It would be
no.
You wouldn't be able to see it. Yeah. We'd love to see Uggla. He had his days for sure.
Dan Uggla was owner of the worst 33-game hit streak in the history of Major League Baseball. During his hitting streak, he did not hit 300. It was the most improbable hitting streak ever.
It was 1 for 4 every night.
1 for 4 every day, Jeff. And I'm a Braves fan. I was watching this and just flabbergasted. I think that season he hit like 220, but had a 30-game hit streak in the middle of it.
And given his penchant for striking out, it's a miracle he got that.
Yes. But he also, I think if they ever measured forearms, like his forearms should be in the Hall of Fame. Those had to be the biggest forearms in baseball history.
Like a normal person's thigh or his forearms. Phil mentions Matt still has more power than both of his kids. There's some BP videos out there. Yeah, I sent one to Chris the other day. It was like their family home run derby, and they're just hitting bombs, launching them where you can't even see it before. That's pretty incredible. That's got to be a family gathering.
But yes, Filmington also mentioned, I believe Dan Uggla does hold a record for errors in a single All-Star game. But,
yes. And Carl got lucky. Some of those on the street could have been labeled as errors easily.
Yes, there were definitely some choppers up the third baseline that he got some home cooking in terms of scoring on to keep that streak going.
Everybody wanted to see him get a streak, huh?
I mean, we're trying to get the guy some positive anything.
Shelly's upset about Chase Utley destroying Juan Lagares' leg.
Yep.
Can't get over that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was a straight-up dirty play. I mean, that's just, it stinks. He's an aggressive, that's the kind of player he was. Like, kind of like Pete Rose-esque. Like, if he has a chance to break up that double play, he's taking it. And that was obviously insanely egregious. But, I mean, that's who Chase Utley was. I mean, I don't mean to say he's always a dirty player. He wasn't kind of like Manny Machadoing and stepping on first baseman's feet and all that crap. But, like, he's going in hard, and he just went in too hard.
Yeah. Jorge says, I saw on Twitter that a reporter didn't vote for Beltre. Don't let me catch him shopping. Yeah, did you see what that reporter said? Because I haven't heard anybody that didn't vote for him give a reason. So I'd be besides just getting attention for themselves. That seems to be the dominant reason that they do that.
Maybe he needed 3,200 hits, to get in. The 3,166 wasn't enough.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Well, I guess there is one thing, and we've talked about this on our other podcast, that there are rumors potentially of him being involved in steroids and shooting up. But what are you gonna do?
He never once they started testing, he never tested positive. That's really all you can ask.
Yeah,
because anyone who says they wouldn't have done it in the 90s is lying. There was a comment I saw that he wasn't the only Brave second baseman making errors in big games, but I believe that's a Brooks Conrad reference to a Brave second baseman getting some yips. And Yeah, it looked like our slow pitch game Tuesday night, Jeff, for one game.
there was multiple errors on the infield. Yes.
Yeah.
So back to who might get in. So I'm thinking the guys we've talked about are pretty low, but there's a guy I wanted to hit that's currently running at 80%.
Oh, don't say it, Jeff. Please don't.
No. Relief, no less. Billy Wagner. Currently running at 80%. He was at 68% last year, so he's on the trajectory to get in. What are you going to do? I mean, I guess
I don't get it. I don't get it.
That beaning off his head, which is pretty miraculous. I think that was his career highlight for sure.
I mean, I don't understand how you could say a pitcher that never threw 1,000 major league innings could possibly belong in the Hall of Fame. I don't get it. Like, yes, he could throw a baseball really, really hard for like 20 pitches at a time. And we're going to say he's one of the like 1% best players in the history of the sport. Get the hell out of here. How does any writer vote for Billy Wagner and not Curt Schilling?
Yeah.
Like, what are you thinking? It doesn't make any sense. I didn't look up any Billy Wagner cards. I don't care.
Two things with that. One, Curt Schilling, for some people, is disqualified because of the what is the official clause in the Hall of Fame? Like,
don't be an asshole.
Yeah, the don't be an asshole clause.
Yeah.
For a lot of people that don't vote for him, that's the reason. But yeah, with Billy Wagner, the other thing is that people say, well, it's a position. Relief pitcher is a position. So if you're the best at your position for X number of years, you belong in the Hall of Fame.
I don't see it. It's the only position where people do it because they can't do the right. main part of their position. Like no other position has a fallback. There isn't like a backup second baseman position.
I mean, kind of like the DH, right? Except the players that were DHs didn't usually start out that way. Usually people DH when they can no longer play a position effectively. Great, fine. But it'd be interesting to see now that no pitchers hit, if there's any career DHs like that never played the field.
Yeah. I mean, Edgar Martinez is in, and deservedly so. I mean, he didn't play a lot of defense.
Well,
and when he did, he wasn't really playing it.
When he was in the field.
I saw All My Cards Suck had a very funny comment. If you want to read it, I missed the exact
one didn't tweet about hanging journalists. Yeah, that's not endear you to a lot of people.
No, it's not. It's not. But I mean, that's not the bar we're trying to climb over either.
Right.
No, like I said, Curt Schilling is a trash person, but his baseball performance, I think, should put him in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I mean, he wouldn't be the biggest asshole in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Mr. Biglick says, what about Will Clark? Are we just throwing around guys that hated journalists so they didn't get in any votes?
I love Will Clark. Will Clark, Mark Grace, Wally Joyner. That was a fantastic era of
when Don Mattingly was there.
Mattingly, left-handed hitting first baseman. That's great.
The Hall of Very Good, which is what Tyler Wood says. If more relievers get in, Baseball Hall of Fame would turn into the Hall of Very Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree completely. And I think it's a little bit different when the relief pitching position first came about, and you had guys like Rowley Fingers, Bruce Sutter that would pitch in the sixth inning. They're called Rolaids, relief men, firemen, because they'd put out the fire. They weren't saved exclusively for the ninth inning. They'd pitch multiple innings. It seemed like a really important position, not just one there to rack up saves.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make any sense. And yeah, guys like that, like Gossage, Fingers, totally, it's a different era for sure.
Yeah.
Billy Wagner, I just absolutely not. If I'm allowed to vote for the Hall of Fame, which I mean, I'm probably for the best I'm not, I would have only ever voted for one relief pitcher, and that's Rivera, and I would never vote for anyone else. He is just 100%. He's extremely special, and the postseason stuff just puts him on another planet. No one. It's crazy how much a relief pitcher dominated postseason series like that guy did, and we're never going to see anything like that again. And conversely, here's a great trivia question for you: Billy Wagner has thrown in his career, it's a very small sample size, 11 innings of postseason baseball.
11?
That's it.
He was on some good teams, I thought. Maybe
He,
just not when he was on them.
he was on good teams, but his Astros teams just kept losing to Atlanta in the first round in the 90s. And then, let's see, he joined the Mets for a couple of years, and well, they didn't fare well either. And then he finished up with the Braves, and less said about that, the better. But anyway, 11 innings. How many runs did he give up in the playoffs in those 11 innings? I'm not saying this should disqualify him. I'm saying it more to emphasize how incredible Rivera was in the playoffs.
Well, for a Hall of Famer, he should have given up, I don't know, 2 runs.
He gave up 13 runs in those 11 innings.
That's ridiculous.
With 21 hits.
It's absurd. That alone should disqualify him.
Like that's insane, and that's like this is over the course of 13 years. It's like every time he came in, he had some kind of meltdown. And so it's clearly a mental thing, which I completely get. I mean, you and I we get tight playing softball sometimes. Yeah. I certainly understand it.
That's your only job. That's why you're there. That's why you're in that position.
Yeah.
Saves are the most cumulative stat of all time. Dominance is what really matters. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, saves. And I like that more teams are going back to allowing their best pitcher to pitch when they need it instead of saving them for the 9th inning. And then by then the lead's blown half the time anyway, just to get a save. That's stupid. Or what about when Josh Hader didn't want to go in because he only wanted to pitch the 9th inning? I guess you do things when you're working for a contract, but
yeah, that's a unfortunately highly questionable situation there. I saw someone mention Dave Stewart. I didn't see the context of it.
I'm not sure what the context was either for Dave Stewart.
Yeah, I collect Ichiro. You're right. Rivera had 1 pitch.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just and no one could hit it, and they knew it was coming, and they still couldn't hit it. That's pretty impressive. M. Parsons, I saw, just asked, Jeff, what did she say?
No assholes and no closers. So should I sell my John Rocker cards?
I think she might have missed the sell high opportunity on her John Rockers
before his interview with SI.
Yeah, but
maybe Dave Stewart somebody had made a comment about asking if wife beaters should be allowed in the Hall of Fame. I don't know if that's what Dave Stewart. I don't want to besmirch his name if he wasn't, but yeah, I mean, I think there should be some sort of standard that people are held to. If you look at the old players where there was no social media, no video, I think a lot of those guys did a lot of questionable things and are in. Is unfortunate, but
sorry, all my cards suck. Said John Rocker's peak was when he was on Survivor. Oh my God. I still remember, listen, again, I'm a Braves fan. I remember that interview in Sports Illustrated and reading it and just thinking to myself, like, your agent wasn't in the room? Like, who did you think you were talking to? It was absolutely mind-boggling how clueless a person could be.
Yeah, but then he continued to double down on it after the fact and was just...
Oh, yeah. I mean, he didn't want to look weak.
No.
I mean, you have 2 choices. Apologize, say you were wrong, or really dig in. And, we're a dig-in culture, Jeff.
Yeah, dig-in culture. I know they say that closers have to have a different kind of makeup, and yeah, maybe
that's... Listen, closers are important the way they become, and your ability to get big outs in big spots. If you can do that consistently like Rivera did, then absolutely put you in the Hall of Fame. But Trevor Hoffman got blown up in the playoffs too, and Aroldis Chapman has gotten his ass kicked in the playoffs numerous times. And I get it; it's a really, really hard job, but I just would never vote for any of these guys ever.
And with the stats, hey Douglas, thank you. We love you too. With the stats,
speak for yourself, Jeff.
Douglas, put up in the postseason. Did he do enough in his regular season to counteract that? You could look at a guy like Clayton Kershaw, who's had some rough postseason times, but there's no disputing that he's been one of the best regular season pitchers of this or any generation. So
absolutely,
for his resume, that massively outweighs any postseason disappointments.
Oh yeah, even if Clayton Kershaw was 0-20 with a postseason ERA of 18, I'd still first ballot vote him right into the Hall of Fame now if he retired, like without hesitation.
Wagner done enough in the regular season besides survive? hit to the skull, which I still can hear. That was a rough play.
Yeah, I mean that was impressive for sure. But the Hall of Fame requires more than just surviving 109-mile-an-hour headshots. Yeah, I mean he's had some great seasons, but yeah, I mean okay. So let's look at his standard pitching. How many black ink stats does Billy Wagner have?
Well, he probably led the league in saves a handful of times, right? So he's got to have, I don't know, maybe a 7 score.
2. He led the league in games finished twice.
I didn't even know that's a black ink stat. That must be like 0.5 points in the black ink.
Yeah, I think they've expanded what's on the Baseball Reference. I mean, his ERA plus is impressive at 187, but I mean, you're pitching 1 inning at a time.
Yeah,
it should be at least 2 if you're going to be on the Hall of Fame ballot and get votes. It's got to be better than that. Like, I don't see it. I don't know. I wouldn't have put Bruce Sutter in. I don't know. I don't see this. I don't get it.
Okay, well here. So let me get to some. CC, thank you for joining us live. We love to talk live because we get so much input from people like Tyler, who says Kershaw really helped the Dodgers win the 2020 World Series, though.
Yeah, he sure did.
Yeah,
he sure did.
And Shelley, he will come back, I'm sure. He's 56 strikeouts away from 3,000. He's not done. He's probably going to pitch a few more years, 3 months at a time.
Real quick, Jeff, I just want to say, Jeff and I have a friend named Donald that we play softball with. And Donald is famous for having a few beers and making these absolutely outrageous baseball proclamations that he stands by like so firmly, you almost start to question whether you're completely wrong if he's this confident. But I saw him last weekend, and he looked me dead in the eye and told me that he thinks Clayton Kershaw will pitch for another 10 years. 10 years.
Pitch to his kid?
Listen, I don't know. Maybe he made like advertising pitches. Like, I don't know.
Man,
I told him I give him 6.5 if he takes the over. Like, what kind of odds? Let's make a bet. And then the math got crazy, and we both fell asleep. But I will tell you, I don't see him 10 more years, but I'm for sure he's going to come back. He's going to do anything he can to keep pitching on that Dodgers team, and he should.
I collect Ichiro. Yes, please, everybody, throw a thumbs up on there. It helps us reach more people. Please subscribe if you haven't yet. So I didn't look this up before the show. I wish I would have known we were going to get into this saves conversation more. But you know who else is on the ballot for the second year is Francisco Rodriguez. Okay? So he's 6.7% of the vote. Now, I'm no relief pitcher apologist, but how does Billy Wagner have 80% and K-Rod have 6%?
That's a fantastic comparison, Jeff. Why on earth, if you're voting for one, why wouldn't you vote for the other? What are we missing here?
Yeah, how are you drawing the line at them? And like I said, I wouldn't vote for either, but the fact that one is at 80%, one's at 6% just blows my mind.
Okay, yeah, let's run some numbers here real quick. So Billy Wagner, Billy Wagner has 422 career saves and 903 innings. Francisco Rodriguez has 437 saves and 976 innings. Wagner does have a significantly better ERA. It's a half run better.
Okay.
Wagner has 27 WAR and K-Rod has 24. But yeah, I don't see a big difference between these two players.
Can you tell me what his postseason performance is at least?
I sure can, because it's good. He's got more innings. We know that.
He's had more memorable moments too, and I don't think he's given up 13 runs in 11 innings.
All right, so he's pitched 36 innings and given up 12 earned runs in the playoffs. ERA under 3, almost 50 Ks in 36 innings.
So he's given up less runs
in 3 times the innings. And he's got a ring.
And he's running at less than 10%. And he was a really important part of that ring.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he pitched. Oh, good Lord. Yeah, I mean, that year in the playoffs, he pitched almost 20 innings or 18 innings in relief.
So in one postseason, he pitched way more than Wagner did in his entire career.
Yep.
Helped him to get the ring. And yes, he's getting just, I don't know. It boggles my mind. Thank you for looking that up. I didn't realize they'd be quite that close statistically in terms of their duration of their career. But man.
But and to be clear, I agree with the voting for Francisco Rodriguez. I think it's spot on. I have absolutely no idea why Billy Wagner gets all this love. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't know. David Johnson says supposed to be based on performance. Hall of Fame is a joke. Uh, it's Lucky Peter says silly. It's because silly sports writers get to vote and many hold grudges. Dan Levitard used to give his vote to his dad to pick. It's a joke. Yeah, well, we've seen and people turn in blank ballots as a form of protest, or there's. I don't know what the solution is though. I don't know because if you can't have fans vote, we've seen how that works in All-Star games. I don't know what the solution is.
I don't know. I heard I was watching a Braves Red Sox game when Kenley Jansen got like whatever he got some milestone save, and the Red Sox announcer said it's so exciting to watch future Hall of Famer Kenley Jansen, and I literally ripped like part of my eyebrow out. Like it cannot be. It just cannot be.
Nick says AI should be voting in the future. Yeah, maybe tag grading can do some objective calculations. But it's hard. Again, how much do you weigh the postseason versus the regular season? Should it have an effect? Just because you're dominant in?
No, I mean, I don't think it really shouldn't. Like we talk, I see a little bump. Like like Rivera gets a huge bump, and I would have given Kurt Schilling a very similar bump as well. I wouldn't necessarily penalize Billy Wagner for his brief and terrible postseason performance because I wouldn't have considered him in the first place. So it really doesn't matter to me.
Well, that's one way of looking at it. Yeah, I agree. I Collect Ichiro said one is a Met and the other is on another team, so he thinks that the team bias. Tyler Wood can't wait to see the injury competition between Chris Sale and Kershaw. Well,
too soon. I'm holding out hope that we get 140 innings out of Chris Sale. I'm going to say, including postseason, I'd like to see 150. But I mean, that's like that's a ridiculous thing to say.
Huge. That's a huge win if you can get 150 innings of at least average Chris Sale innings.
Yeah. He has said that, first of all, his interviews have been really entertaining that I've seen. So I like him now as a person. I didn't really watch much of his interviews before because I didn't really care that much, but I do like him. I think he's really funny. He said there was just so much pressure in Boston. He was announced as the opening day starter in October, like for the year before. But he said here in Atlanta, he's like, I'm third or fourth, so I can just go out there and stink and it's not going to matter. Mm-hmm. Now he was laughing. So I find that hilarious. I like that. I'm hopeful. He did say this has been his first normal off season in 5 years. I don't know. I want to send him like some protein powder. The guy looks so thin. I don't know. And he still gets hit by balls, which I find fascinating. You would think there's just very little space there.
Nick P says Rivera blew game 6. So it was 7. Game 6, but Rivera, I think that only shows how important he was to that team because every other time when he came through, the team won.
That's right.
And the one time he didn't, the team didn't.
Yeah. From 1996 through 2001, the Yankees, like Rivera and Wetland for 1 year, then Rivera, they combined to blow 2 saves. And those are the only 2 years the Yankees didn't win. Postseason saves are really, really important.
Yeah. So you're right. It is memorable, but I think it kind of proves the point. Phil says they need does the opposite of Ozempic. Evan Carter. That would be something. Maybe you're onto something, Phil. I think you could you'd have a very small base in this country to market it to, but
yeah, it reminds me of that South Park when Cartman was taking the weight gainer and not working out.
What happened?
Exactly what you would think. He gained a hell of a lot of weight.
CC says either of you attend induction weekend in Cooperstown? If yes, your thoughts on the event? I have never. I would love to especially if it's a player that I collect or was interested in, but I've never had the chance to do it. So
no, that's definitely a thing. Like if it's like say Freddie Freeman gets in, we might have to take a pilgrimage to Cooperstown for that one. Now I saw someone wrote Will Smith is greater than Billy Wagner.
I think he means the Fresh Prince, which I would for him for the Hall of Fame.
Will Smith. He means Will Smith has cost a lot of us Braves fans years off our life, but I will forever remember how he magically and unpredictably
That postseason,
yeah,
he was
he had 7 saves. He pitched 11 innings. He gave up 0 runs. No other team in the 2021 playoffs had more than 1 save. He put up 7. He was untouchable.
he was like peak Rivera.
Yeah, it was insane. I
I,
remember watching it and just being like,
I hope he someday makes the Braves Hall of Fame just for that. He deserves it.
yes, the whole late shift should like him and Tyler. Oh, Tyler Matzik will absolutely be in the Braves Hall of Fame. And maybe it's based on 1 inning. I don't know, but he will absolutely be in the Braves Hall of Fame. But he, Matzik, Minter, you can't put Luke Jackson in there, unfortunately. But those 3 lefties absolutely should have at least a night.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say Matzik will be in the Braves Hall of Fame. Hopefully he comes back. Speaking of guys coming back from injury, he's a guy I'm very excited to see back on the mound.
Lucky
in October.
Peter suggests that you just send Chris Sale some Oreos.
Sure. Oreos, or I'll send him what the snack that keeps me alive when I've been drinking, which is peanut butter and Ritz. That has saved my life on several occasions. Jeff can attest to that.
There you go. Shelley says Matzik signing Nutsack on every baseball during that postseason was awesome.
Amazing.
That might get him in the Hall of Fame.
I need one of those balls. There's no other way to say it. I mean, I need one of those Nutsack balls. I don't know how else to say it.
And Nick says, I missed the start of the stream. What do you guys think of the Series 1 design? You want to do a quick recap of the things we talked about with the 2024 Series 1?
Yeah, I mean, like, real quick, I would say Jeff and I are leaning towards positive thoughts, but we really want to see what the parallels look like. And we're hoping that because half the card's black already, maybe with Topps Black and Topps Gold, they're going to put more color on it. So my hopes are up. My hopes are high.
Yeah. Yeah, so hopes are good. I see why people have a problem with it. Maybe the neon is a little much for them, but I don't mind them trying new things like that. I just want to see them put some effort into the parallels.
Lucky Peter says 90s Trapper Keeper vibes. Absolutely. That's an excellent analogy.
Definitely. It absolutely is, yes.
Oh, yeah, I can see that being one of those big folders. Yeah, for sure. Oh, yeah. But, yeah, I want to see if Topps Black, Topps Gold. I'm looking forward to actually seeing one of the, what's it called? One of those design variations they're going to make that doesn't have any of the design on it. I think that should be cool.
Yeah. Yeah,
By the way,
right, where they're just taking all the words off it.
I also want to say kudos to Topps for releasing their biggest product on Valentine's Day. Just fantastic.
I'm sure there's going to be a lot of celebratory pack ripping amongst baseball card couples.
I think it's just great.
The black will make it harder to grade. We talked about that too. You've got the black corners on there, just like that Heritage set from a couple of years ago that mimicked, what was that, the 71 Topps, yeah, where it was all black. That made for some tough grading, especially on autos where the players are handling the cards.
So I'll put a positive spin on that. Hopefully what that's going to do is make people not grade the base cards.
Yeah, exactly.
Please don't grade those base cards anyway.
And Filmington agrees with that. I don't mind harder grades on flagships since it's usually pretty decent with surface and edges. True.
Yeah.
David, my new claim would be based on players banned from the Hall of Fame. Wouldn't that be great? Well, because of the last, and I don't know about banned, because there's a lot of really good players that haven't been banned, just not voted in, like Barry Bonds, who's got a lot of great cards.
Yeah, I mean, and Bonds, his cards are not cheap. It's not like people look at Barry Bonds and are like, well, he's not in the Hall of Fame, so I don't want his stuff. No, he's like the best hitter any of us have ever seen and will ever see. So his cards are still really, really expensive. And I bet though, if the time does come, the Hall lets him in. Holy cow, that 86 Tiffany is going to go through the roof.
Yeah. Yep. And some of the rare 90s inserts.
Oh, sure. Yeah, well, the finest refractor, absolutely. It just seems nuts. I mean, the commissioner that allowed steroid use to run rampant is in the Hall of Fame. But the players that all did it and made us watch the game and helped grow the game and risking their own health to do it, like they're not allowed in. I don't get it.
And especially the ones before they're even really testing for it. That's tough to see. But Shell, did you guys see what Panini did with Wembanyama's rookie? His marquee rookie is him dribbling behind a black curtain. I didn't see that. It's interesting. It makes me want to go look it up.
Yeah.
Makes me appreciate Topps more. Well, and pretty soon Topps is going to have all the licenses, so they'll be taking control of the basketball. So we'll see what happens with that. Levi says released on Valentine's Day because 95% of collectors are single. That reminds me, Chris, I forgot to tell you this.
Oh, I don't like where this is going, Jeff.
I looked at our subscriber list, and up until last week, we had been 100% male. Now we're 99.9% male viewers. So I don't know if that's just now they're counting M. Parsons as a viewer, or if we actually have somebody who's tuning in that's not a male. But
well, that might have also been me on my mom's phone when I was last visiting my parents, creating a YouTube account and subscribing to us. But whatever it takes, whatever it takes.
Probably. Carl mentions that Bonds never tested positive for B's either. True. Good point.
No, and it's always like I would say about once a month. There's YouTube videos of Eric Gagne pitching to Barry Bonds. I watch those things all the time. That is like video game stuff.
Yes, I love those at bats.
Yeah.
Alan says, "How about Barry Bonds 87 O-Peachy rookie card? It's priced. Yeah, if you can find a gem one of those, and I've had a couple of them, but they're mostly diamond cuts, crazy cuts. But yeah, if you can find a gem, that's going to be a lot. Maybe your mom subscribes." Chris may have subscribed on his mom's phone.
Yeah, I don't think there's much maybe about that.
But yes, if you can get any of your moms to subscribe to up our female viewership numbers, that would be great.
I can say anecdotally from our time at card shows, older women love Jeff. So if any of your moms have YouTube, show them the channel, and I bet they'll be interested in Jeff, and they will subscribe in a heartbeat.
They also love Michael Harris rookie cards.
They do.
Yes. So maybe you could show them that. All right. Well, we're going on pretty long tonight, so we're gonna cut it there. Thank you for everybody joining in with our Hall of Fame conversation. We'll revisit this in a couple weeks when the numbers actually come out, and we'll see if our talk about Billy Wagner swayed any of the voters who haven't voted yet. Maybe we'll have some input. Maybe please
don't buy any Billy Wagner cards. Please don't.
Yeah. What if he gets that bump? He gets that bump from 20 cents. Well, we really appreciate everybody for tuning in. If you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. We're live every Thursday night here, and we're trying to put out more videos. If you haven't checked out our latest, Chris and I love collecting SSP cards, and we put out videos occasionally highlighting some SSPs, a lot of which we've never seen in person, and it's just a good time to talk about it. So please comment below what you'd like us to talk about if you'd like anything else, or find us on Instagram, My Favorite Cardboard and Baseball Card Addict. And anything you want to close up with, Chris?
Yeah, every Thursday going forward, we're going to do SSP Thursdays on Instagram. So please, if you have really good SSPs, hold them back. Post everything Thursday morning. Tag us, put it on your story, hashtag SSP Thursday, and we'll get it shared. We'll get it out there. Hopefully you guys get some more followers out of it. But it's really fun just to see.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, everybody, again. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you all next week.
Cheers.